grab yourself a seat. Hey, how are you?
Hi.
I'm Lisa. Nice to meet you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Kiana.
Yeah, I'm gonna write everything down. Gotta get my seat right here.
Yes, ma'am.
Bring my own seat.
Bring your own chair to the party. All right. This is. Did you read that?
Yeah. We spoke yesterday on the phone. This is Detective Alberson. She's also.
Okay, so that's who you told me to talk to.
Yeah. It's freezing in here. Anything you worry.
So the search and rescue guy that contacted me, he told me because I didn't want to talk to him, he couldn't tell me who he was. I didn't say anything to him, but he told me night before last night, that if I had anything else besides what was related to him to contact you.
Very good.
And I was confused because I got caught.
Yeah, well, we all work together.
Yeah.
We all work together, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as it's a police officer or a detective for the police department, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of us working this case.
Well, we're like a team. We all work together. So, all right, first things first, spell your first name.
K-E-Y.
K-E?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Y-O-N-A.
I started here.
Oh, eight.
Oh,
Yes.
see, I can't stop thinking about this date. I started the 18th here. 94. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're just a day old. Yeah, okay. Anyway, now I'm all totally thrown off. I don't even know why we're here. Okay, so, and what's your address? Down here, Maine.
I'm down here looking for a job to try and move down here.
Okay.
But I don't reside here. I
Oh.
stay in Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile, do you have a, is that like a permanent address, a family address, or?
Down here it's a permanent
Okay,
address.
give me, okay, all right. So, we're gonna start like from the beginning.
Yes.
Where did you meet Cassandra? How long have y'all been friends?
We've been friends since 9th grade at Pine Forest, and we met in Mr. Javelina's reading class.
Oh, okay, all right. So y'all kind of hit it off as friends?
Yes, ma'am, and then we lost contact. After I left Pine Forest, I went to stay with my mom and her boyfriend. And from there, I didn't start back school. That was 2010. I started the first week. And I think I went the first day because it started on a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I went to stay with my mom in Warrenton. And I didn't go back to school until January. And Cassandra didn't contact me until, say, 2017.
Mm-hmm. So how did she find you?
Facebook.
Facebook. All right. Yeah, you can always find people on Facebook. Yeah, sometimes. So 2017, y'all started talking. Do you remember what month that was?
There she goes.
Is that all the messages y'all were talking?
Yes. On Messenger, but the number that's what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
I told Galloway that the number here was different when me and her were talking.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to her off of 850-712-7603. And then,
That's old number?
yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was an app that I downloaded that I was talking to her on when my phone was off.
Mm-hmm.
850-542-8838. And the app was Text Now. but I lost because I was trying to find it when he came out to show him, and I let it go within, I think, 3 months without using it to talk, and it just wiped it out, so I didn't know if he could try and get in touch with them and get it, or however, because that was her last message to me, was on that number, the text now.
Was the text now, was that your number or was that her number?
Mine.
That was yours? Okay.
I'm gonna look and see if I can, I just wanna look and see what it looks like in
Yes.
the App Store. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Web?
I don't know if she was talking to me on an app or not, but I gave him the number that I had last on my phone for her.
Okay. So she could have been, so on that text app, I could have text app and talk to you on your iPhone.
Correct.
Ah,
Yeah.
gotcha. I gotcha.
It's like Google Voice, but it's just an
I
app
gotcha.
based
I gotcha.
type deal.
I'm looking for it now.
But I don't know if the number that she had was her number or not, because her baby's father, she had an iPhone 5, I think she told me, and she wanted to switch to an iPhone 6 because they were on sale at Walmart. She had for $199, and it was a whole big issue with back and forth, and she was telling me he didn't want to buy her the phone, he didn't want to turn the phone on, and he eventually got the phone, but she told me eventually she would be back using Wi-Fi. So before that, she was using Wi-Fi to talk to me, and then when she left, her phone wouldn't work anymore.
Gotcha. So she originally had an iPhone 5. Did you ever see it?
No, ma'am. I never saw her in person. We just talked over the phone, and well, no, she never called me. She said she couldn't call me, but she would just text me, and then once he got there, she would it would be spaced out, like 2 and 3 hours, and then she would respond. But when he was gone, she would text right back.
Gotcha.
But when I talked, January 25th, 2017, and the first message was about a coffee company that her baby father owned. And she didn't say it in the message, but later on through text message, she told me that he owned a coffee company in Germany, and he was trying to bring it here, so that's what he was doing as far as working and being able to pay their bills and stuff. And she wasn't working, and she asked if I would be interested in it, and I asked her, was it fine, and is there a page to promote it?
Now, which one is you and which one is it? This is all her?
Yes, ma'am. And then the red is me, and it goes all the way up until I deactivated my Facebook, and I think she thought I unfriended her, so she blocked me.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And then I explained to her by text message, and then our last few texts were, you need to get back on Facebook. And I took my Facebook down only because I had personal issues going on with my child's father's parents and sister.
Have you reactivated your Facebook page since then, or?
I'm trying to see if I put it back up. I got back on once when a girl that I knew contacted me and told me that she saw a missing poster of her.
Right.
And I got on to look at it, and then immediately I deactivated, but I contacted Karen.
Right.
And the girl wrote Karen and told Karen that she knew a girl that knew her. And then she told me to write Karen. So when I wrote Karen, that's when it ended up with me finding out, and I told her what I knew.
Right.
And I think within a day or two after that, that's when Detective Galloway came out to that address, and he spoke with me.
When you were talking to Cassandra on Facebook, were you using her Facebook? Were you through her Facebook page that's still up, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is this Facebook or is this the text app or whatever?
That
Looks like it goes back a long way.
That's yeah. This is the text messages.
Okay.
Not text messages. They're on Facebook.
Okay.
When she contacted me before.
Facebook Messenger?
Yes.
Okay. Is it okay if I look at them?
It's fine.
Okay.
There's nothing.
I know. Well, I have to ask.
Yes, ma'am. I have the
So y'all go way back, January 15th, 2015?
2008 or 9. I can't remember if it was the beginning or after Christmas break and we came back.
Gotcha. So January 25th, 2017. So did she just come out, just pop out of the woodwork and ask about this?
Yes, ma'am. And I knew nothing about the whole coffee. She never told me a name of the company.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he didn't want it released or if he was supposed to be working on it. Wherever it was located at, she said the last address, which I mentioned to Detective Galloway,
Mm-hmm.
and Karen said that the address that was on the poster, she said something about she rode by and she didn't see the car there or anything, and she said it was the wrong address. And I asked her, I was like, well, did you get a chance to look at it? Because from what Cassandra told me, the house that they moved to was $2,300 a month. It was in a gated community, and she said that it was furnished.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't tell me an address.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing that everywhere she went, she never told me an address except for Areola Drive.
Mm-hmm.
She told me one there, and immediately after, she was like, you can come here and spend the night if you come down to see me.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, never mind. Within 2 minutes, and I was like, okay, well.
All right, yeah. I want to read this about this opportunity she's offering you.
I thought it was weird. It was supposed to be, I think she said just selling coffee or helping run a coffee business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he's supposed to be doing.
Right. When did you talk about the gated community place and all that stuff?
That was in, November 30th, she said they had to be out. So it was around December.
Last year?
Yes, sir. It was December. She told me that, which Detective Galloway said it didn't make sense to him in a way because the address, I guess, that they were staying at was supposed to be in his name. But he said that he told Cassandra that his friend owned it.
Right.
And his friend was coming back, and they had to move out before, I think it was November 22nd.
Okay.
And then it changed to November 30th. And then he found something, and she said it was hard because he didn't want too much carpet.
Right.
Did Detective Galloway take pictures of all this? Do you know?
He did not take pictures of the messenger. He took pictures of her message where she was telling me that he had, she didn't, I don't know if it's in the message or not, but the screenshot he got, she was packing her stuff because he was hitting her.
Mm-hmm.
But she was scared to leave because me and her, in those messages, we talked about me trying to help her get a house and get away because she said she didn't have help and he never had time for the baby. He was always gone.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, well, I can come pick you up one
Right.
day and we can go out and we can look. She's like, well, it would have to be whenever he's not here.
Right.
But he comes in randomly, and then some days he stays gone 14 hours. But she said she wouldn't feel safe staying in a place unless I stayed with her and me and my daughter stayed with her and her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Only because of, I guess, from what it sounded like, it was because of him. She was scared that something would go wrong.
Right.
And she was scared to leave.
Right, let me read the rest of this.
And then later on in the, towards the end of the messages, she talks about, what was it that she told me? I think that's when she talks about leaving, and from talking to her through text, they stayed arguing, but she was there because, from my point of view on it, talking to her, she was there for financial stability because she was saying she didn't work, she wanted to work, he didn't want her to work. And it was kind of like she would switch between, I want to work, then, no, I don't want to work because I want to see my baby grow up.
Right. And would she say that, or would it just, you just kind of gathered that from what she was saying?
She actually said it in some of the text messages on the text now number. The white phone, well, this number was a white LG Tribute phone.
All right, but this was your phone?
Yes,
right.
ma'am. It was a white LG
Where is that
Tribute
phone
HD. At home, but the screen on it, I tried to plug it up and turn it on whenever I was talking to Karen and whenever Detective Galloway was coming out, and it would not turn on. It has these lines in the screen.
Let's still look at it.
Yeah, he's the computer guru. Phone guru.
Is there a way I could bring it back?
Yeah, definitely. And definitely, if you don't mind me borrowing it for a little bit and see.
That's fine.
I'll see what's going on with it. If it's something that the screen needs to be replaced, probably get a free screen from us because
Yeah.
we'll get it replaced.
Okay.
So yeah, if I can do fine with it, that would be great.
I have, it's actually, I don't know if I talked to her on my other phone. It was the same number as the 7603, but I had a black, what is it, LGX Power phone with Boost, so I talked to her on that phone.
You still have that one too?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
It's at home.
if I can borrow that one as well.
Yeah, he can get the messages off of it.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Because I think there's text messages from her number. Those two phones, they were off and on, but when it wasn't activated, I still talked to her through the app. That's when I would download the app.
Gotcha.
Do you remember what number she was using on text now?
Ooh, oh, she didn't, well, from what I knew, she didn't use text now.
Okay.
She used her phone, and it's right actually.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so the number will be on there?
Yes, ma'am.
So she was using her regular number, and you were just using the text now app.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And the number that she gave me that was on the earlier messages was, I think that was her number way back in like 2011.
Okay.
On there, I did tell her when she told me that, well, her sister Karen told me that she lied to me because she told me that one day she just told me that he slapped her. When he came in, they got into an argument, he slapped her. And Karen told me, well, no, that's not what happened. You know, back in 2015, 14, he actually beat her, and she sent me a picture, and her face was all bloody.
Karen sent you a picture of Cassandra from back in that time, or Cassandra sent you one?
Neither one. She just told me about it.
Oh, gotcha, okay,
Because I
gotcha.
told her, I was like,
Okay.
well, from what she told me, when she first asked me, she was like, how do you know my sister? And I guess she didn't believe me because she wouldn't talk to me as much at
Right.
first.
Is this after she went missing? Okay, when y'all started, okay.
She wouldn't speak to me at all. And then
gotcha.
once I told her and they found out that, okay, well, the number that she last spoke to was Kiana,
Right,
then she started trying to
I
talk
gotcha.
to me.
Okay, that makes sense. So y'all started talking, of course you put out the, wanting to get involved in the coffee company and all that kind of stuff. Which, kind of walk us through the conversations from then to now, like, really more the dynamics of her and her baby daddy and all that stuff.
Okay.
As in, was there good times and then it went south, or was it always bad pretty much from when y'all, you know what I'm saying? Was there something that happened in between when y'all started talking and now that kind of,
She stayed mad.
okay,
They used to go to New Jersey and New York, and I don't know what it was for. She never told me.
okay,
She never told me why they traveled so much. Oh, but she did mention that he wanted to take, I can't remember the name of the country, but he wanted to take her to some country that never had natural disasters.
uh-huh,
And his family, from what she told me, resided in Tampa or Orlando. And he always wanted to move down there, but she didn't want to go that far away from her family.
right, it makes sense,
And excuse me, when I talked to Karen, she said that Cassandra's baby had a birthday party.
Mhm.
She didn't tell me about a birthday party.
She didn't, okay,
When I talked to her on the 1st, because our last message was actually at 2 or 3 February 2nd, from what I remember.
Was
And
that on this phone or the other phone?
on the
Was that
on the
app?
LG X Power,
okay.
Okay.
And what was that message, what was that conversation?
it was that she was at home and her child's father had been gone the whole day, and it was I didn't find out the baby's name until recently.
Gotcha,
What did they rate? What they call her?
She just said my little one.
Okay.
okay,
And she used to tell me that it was her daughter. She was telling me it was her daughter's birthday. He was gone all day to go do coffee, and he was never home. And she expected him to be there at least for their baby's birthday because it was his first child.
right,
And he wasn't coming home. Her last message to me exactly was, he said he'll be here in 20 minutes. That was it.
gotcha,
After that, I figured, okay, because he had in the past took her phone and let it stay off and turned the Wi-Fi off from what she told me, and she couldn't contact anybody. And she was only allowed 2 hours out on Saturdays. Besides, throughout the week, he would get the baby and she could take a bath. And that was it.
And that's stuff that she talked about in there about how kind of controlling he was and all that kind of stuff? Or
On both of the phones that I'm going to bring down here,
right.
She did.
Okay.
It was in the messages. And also on the Text Now app, she talked about how he was never really at home. And he was always gone. I know they had gotten into it previously because she left to go get ribs or something.
Uh-huh.
And he was supposed to be watching the baby, and she said she came back, and the baby had fell off the bed. He had put the baby on the bed to go to the bathroom.
Gotcha.
So she was mad about that, and they got into an argument about that, but she didn't contact me for the rest of the day, and then she talked to me the day after.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm reading.
No, you're good. Take your time. So other than the coffee company, did she talk about like where the money came from in the family or anything like that, or how they got money or anything like that, or?
She just told me that he was the one that was working, and from what I knew, all the money was coming from this coffee business, which was downtown, and wherever they moved to, she mentioned it was within 15 minutes of his job.
Gotcha. Okay. Tell me about Cassandra. Like, what type of person is she, and all that kind of stuff? Like personally, from how you know her and all that. As in, and I want the good and the bad as well, because there's that with everybody, and all that kind of stuff. Tell us about her.
She was shy. When I first met her, she was shy and kind of like timid to herself.
Right.
And then once you got to know her, she was outgoing, and she used to get mad, though. She was easily ticked off.
I got you.
The simplest little thing would make her mad.
Right. Okay.
That's really about it.
Okay.
That's all I know.
No,
It had been so long since I talked to her.
Yeah.
Well, I think she called me once by phone, and I tried to return the call, and she just declined and texted me instead. So I don't know if she tried to call me. Well, she said she got scared because I was in the hospital with my baby, and I was trying to get up and do the walking that they make you do afterwards. And she got scared because she thought something happened to me and the baby at the hospital.
Right.
So she tried calling, and when I called back, it just got declined.
Gotcha. Did she ever call leaving you voicemails or anything like that for you or anything? It was pretty much either through Messenger, the Text Now, or Facebook Messenger type deal.
Yes, sir. All the way up until I got off of Facebook Messenger. And
Right.
then Instagram, she never talked to me through Instagram, but she followed me on Instagram, and she would like certain pictures and stuff, but I never posted them.
Okay. In the conversations, was she talking about, was she planning to stay with him for forever, get married, or what was kind of the final plans with her and,
And him,
yeah,
from what she told me, she wanted to settle down and have a family.
right,
From his point of view, from what she told me, was he didn't want to settle down. He was still communicating with exes, and at one point she said he had a lock code on his phone. He took it off. She was able to go through the phone how she wanted to. Then he put the lock code back on, and he was talking about privacy. And she found out that he was basically asking exes and female friends when they came into town
right,
to meet him for coffee and meet him for this and that.
right, I gotcha.
And he didn't want to be tied down. He bought her 2 rings, but he didn't want to get married until 3 to 4 years to see if they would, from her words, where he said he didn't want to know, he wanted to know if it would work out or not.
Gotcha.
And it would take him 3 to 4 years to know, and then if it worked out, they could get married. If not, then no.
Gotcha.
And she was willing to go along with it.
She says right here, let me find the date.
Yes, ma'am.
This was in April 2017. She's talking about marriage. Been together 3 years, but now I'm not sure. I don't know. He's still sweet and take care of both our needs now, but I feel indifferent and just want solidly work together for her and of course I don't think ever get married. I don't want to. That was back in 2017, yeah.
Did you ever talk to him, or did he ever hit, hey, who is this, or anything like that, send you any messages, or nothing like that? Okay.
I didn't even know his name. All I knew was that she was telling me about a case that he was going through, but she would not get into details. She just called him baby daddy.
Gotcha.
And she was saying that he was going through a case, and the lawyer that he was talking to for whatever the case was about, he didn't want her talking to the lawyer. And she felt like the lawyer was dishonest and not trying to help him and basically screw him over.
Right.
And then they switched to another lawyer that she mentioned was a friend of his.
Okay.
And from that, she said that she was upset because he took some kind of plea deal and it was going to make him a felon.
Right.
And he had a year of probation.
Gotcha. Okay. Did y'all ever exchange pictures? Like, hey, this is, the selfies and all that kind of fun
I
stuff.
sent her pictures of my daughter.
Right.
I never sent pictures of me.
Yeah, no, but a lot of friends do. So.
And on there later on, down, I don't know if it's this year or last year, she sent me, I think our last message on there was in August of 2017. She sent me a video of her and her daughter was just slapping her on the face.
Gotcha, but none of the family together, of him, or, those fun-filled, vacation pictures, or did they ever do anything like that together, or was...
On Facebook, there were pictures that I saw that she posted, as well as on Instagram.
Right.
It was very sparingly she would post one.
Right.
And if she did, she would just put little hearts and, say it was her boyfriend.
Right, I gotcha. And when they went out of town, she didn't say what they did, or went and saw this site, or saw this
She
party,
told me that they went to some place in New York that is like this big bucket of meatballs that they're famous for. They went there. She told me also they went to a museum. Where else? I think that's it. That's all she told me. But I do know right before she went, well, to me, I consider it right before. I can't remember when. But I know it was after, December. It had to be January. They went to Destin, I think, to go to this little restaurant. It was an Italian restaurant for dinner. And on the way back, she said they stopped by a store called Sugar. And he also stopped by a hair store. And she sent me pictures, which will be on on the black phone.
Okay.
Unless it's on the Text Now app.
Right.
Of $1,500 worth of wigs.
Gotcha.
And I thought it was strange.
Right.
It's like, okay. And she's like, yeah, he just bought me, all these different wigs. And she mentioned that she tried modeling before. And he just told her, which I think that's on there, he thought the pictures were ugly and unprofessional. And I used to do the same thing when I was 18 and 19. And I told her I could get in contact with my agent and see if I could set her up. And I did contact him, but he never contacted me back.
Gotcha. And you were saying, so the last message that you have on the LG phone, that he's going to be here in 20 minutes. What was kind of the messages before that? Was it like, he's going to be here in 20 minutes, I need to go? Or like, oh shit, he's going to be here in 20 minutes, I need to get out of it? You know what I'm saying? How about with the context of the conversation?
It was just that, before that, I don't know. If I could guess, I would assume she probably was about to start packing because she was upset that he
Tell me about, going to that kind of
detail.
Yeah.
I think that morning she woke up. She didn't tell me it was the daughter's birthday until,
Was this the morning of the daughter's birthday, the day after the daughter's birthday?
the morning of.
The morning of the
I think
birthday.
it's the first.
Yeah.
The first, she was telling me, she texted me and she was just talking regular, hey, how are you? How's the baby? And I was sending her pictures of my daughter and we were talking about the milestones. And she was just saying that she was getting tired of him working all the time, and she didn't have time to herself. She loved Evelyn, but she didn't call her Evelyn. She just said my little one.
Right.
But she was saying that she was getting tired of staying at home all the time, and he was allowed to go where he wanted to go, and then when she wanted to go out, she couldn't go out. What else? Then we went into talking about the abuse again of him. She just told me that he slapped her. She did tell me that he had hit her, but she wouldn't tell me if it was forcefully, playfully, or whatever.
Right.
And I was telling her, because I told her previous times before, you need to get out. Because I've been in that situation, and it could turn.
Right.
And she was just always telling me, well, it hasn't gotten there yet. And I'm just like, okay, well, you know.
Right. Yeah, I gotcha.
And from that, she sent me a picture of her daughter's birthday cake. I do not know where she got it from.
Okay.
But she sent me a picture of her daughter's cake, and it was getting close to 12 o'clock because the messages were back to back, but it was kind of like repetitive, you know. She's doing this, doing that. He's still not here. He's still not here.
Right.
And then she was like, well, I'm just getting ready to cut the cake. And before that, she was like, he said he'll be here in 20 minutes, and she was pretty pissed because she was like, okay, he's been gone all day. It's our daughter's first birthday. He's not here. He's supposed to be working on coffee. And what else did she tell me? He's working on coffee. He was never there. Oh, and she went ahead by herself and cut the cake. And she was like, after that, she was just done.
Right.
And that was, I think, the last thing she said to me. And I didn't think anything of it because I assumed maybe he came home and took the phone since he was paying for it.
Right.
And I figured, okay, well, maybe she'll contact me. And then all of a sudden, I just saw him missing.
Right. You talked about packing or something like that, like she was going to, what's that about?
She was packing her clothes because he had slapped her. I think a few days before that, he had slapped her. And she was just so upset, and she was packing her stuff. And she was saying she hated that she had to go back to her grandmother's. I don't know which sister she was talking about, but Detective Galloway had asked me if I thought she was close to her family. From what she told me, no, because she didn't name the specific sister, but she said one sister used her for food stamps. Every time she got her food stamps, that sister would contact her and try to make it seem like, okay, you owe me this.
Right.
And then other than that, she said she would go see her grandmother, and she couldn't stay with her grandmother because her sister was staying there with her boyfriend, her husband, and their kids.
Gotcha.
So she wanted to leave, but she didn't want to go back to her grandmother's house. And then she was kind of, I guess, scared at the same time and trying to keep her grandmother safe.
Right.
Because she also mentioned that she wouldn't stay anywhere that wasn't gated. She only felt safe where they were at because there was an officer that used to patrol the neighborhood.
Gotcha. Okay. Did she say when she was planning on leaving or anything like that, other than just unpacking my stuff up and going? Did she say like after, in a week I'm leaving, or after the party, or I'm leaving the second, anything like that? No, sir.
Honestly, she said it several times that she was packing, and she never did.
Gotcha.
She was just, I guess, getting mad, and it was a spur moment. I'm just going to throw my stuff in the suitcase, and then after that, he would always, she called it sweet talk her, and it would be something like the ring that she got. They got into it. She said he slapped her. Next thing I knew, I just get on Facebook, because Facebook was still active at the time. Well, mine was. And they were in New Jersey.
Right.
And then when she had a ring then.
What type of ring was it?
One ring was a small, I'm going to say rose gold ring with a pink diamond. And then the second ring that she got before all this happened was this giant ring that she said she looked at, and it was only 4 or 5 made, and it was the same type of ring, just huge. Gotcha. And she said the ring was like $5,000 or something.
Did you ever see pictures of it or anything like that?
It's actually on it's on one of those phones, either the Tribute or it might be in our pictures. on Facebook. I can activate my Facebook and see. It's either on the tribute or the X Power, but it might be in her on her photos.
Gotcha.
I don't know if she posted pictures or not before all this happened.
Are y'all friends on Facebook?
We were until she thought that I
That's right, she blocked
blocked her.
you. Has she unblocked you since?
No.
Okay, gotcha.
She blocked me because she thought that I blocked her because I was going through a time where my child's father his sister was posting hateful stuff on my page.
Right.
And I took down my Facebook and she thought that I unfriended her for whatever reason. And after that, I don't know how because I was still talking to her by text. And after that, she kind of just left it alone and she would just text me and she would just say, hey, you need to get back on Facebook. But she would screen record stuff and send it to me once she got her new phone. She would screen record it from Facebook and then send it to my phone.
Gotcha.
And let me see it. What else did they do? But I was not aware of a birthday party. When I last talked to her, it was 2 or 3 February 2nd, and that was her last message. But from what I knew, she had been home all day.
All day. Did so with the ring, did he take it back, or was that her? She always wore it and all that kind of stuff. And
she always wore it.
She always wore it.
She always wore it. Anything except for the phone. I think the phone he would let it get shut off.
Right.
And other than that, she would have to use Wi-Fi. I know she said that she really wasn't allowed to leave the house. Their groceries to their house got delivered because she mentioned to me Insta Shopping, some app that you can download, and they bring your groceries to the door and they bring it in. She did mention a few times that she left out, and she said she didn't communicate, so I didn't know anything about Karen until everything happened.
Right.
Because she mentioned that she hung out, well, she talked to me, she talked to this other girl that was her friend. She didn't address the girl's name.
Right.
And she said besides that, that was it, and she called her grandmother.
If she was going to go somewhere, where did she ever talk about, like, hey, if I'm going to leave, I'm going to go blah, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not grandmother's house, but like, you know, Tennessee, New Orleans, Atlanta, Tampa, Key West, New York, wherever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to pack my crap and go here or something. Did she ever, like, you know, anywhere in the conversations ever talk about, like, hey, I would love to go live in this place or anything like that?
She mentioned she wanted to go to Germany, where he was from.
Right.
And other than that, she was more of a, she said she would be willing to move to Orlando and Tampa, where his family were.
Right.
But she just wanted to be sure.
Right.
And then it would turn from him wanting to take her to Tampa and Orlando to this country.
Right.
Which it'll be it should be on the messages.
Right.
Where it was really no natural disasters.
Right.
And
but then she didn't want to leave family and all that kind of stuff.
If she ever did disappear, she still wanted to keep in contact with her grandmother, and she would not leave without her daughter.
I was about to ask you about the relationship between her and, what was their relationship like? I mean,
The grandmother.
No, between her and her daughter, like how, you know. Right, as in, did she, you know, was it unconditional love, or were there times where she's like, I need a break, because, you know, how was that dynamic?
She didn't like leaving the house, even with the 2 hours. She said she was scared to leave her daughter there with him because he would be on the phone, he would go outside, the baby would be in the house.
Just kind of forget about the baby and all that kind of stuff.
And she said she would not leave the baby. I think she had the baby all day long, and it did not bother her because I used to ask her, did she ever get tired?
Right.
And she was like, no, I don't need a break, but if we can find somewhere that it's safe and there's somebody that can patrol and watch, then I'll feel safe as long as you and your daughter stay with me, and we can just alternate on taken care
I
of
gotcha.
and helping each other out. But besides that, I think she did mention that whenever she would take her bath and get out the bath, or whenever she would go somewhere and come back within 2 seconds of her, before she could even close the front door, from what she said, he would just be like, here she goes.
Gotcha.
So I told the other detective, I was like, it just seems weird to me because from talking to her all day long and him not being there,
Right.
I asked him where the baby was at, and he said the baby was with the dad. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird because before all this happened,
He was
gone.
kind of out of the picture.
He was gone majority of the day, and now I don't know how it's time to sit there. And supposedly he had people working for him wherever he worked at. He was, I guess, the head person in charge.
Uh-huh.
It was his company, and he had people working for him. But I don't understand how, and I think I mentioned that to her in one of those texts on the phones. I don't understand how coffee would keep you just that busy.
Right.
To where you're gone. She said he would leave at 6, 7, sometimes 4 in the morning, and not come home till the next morning.
Gotcha.
Also, she said he would go and, what was this? I think it was last year. Last year. She said that he would go and stay gone. And he would stay gone for 2 and 3 days, and then he would come home.
Did she ever say where he went, or did he ever tell her, or is that just not how the relationship was?
It wasn't how it was. She would text him and ask him where he was at, and even before she came up missing, she would text him, and it would be hours before he would respond.
Gotcha.
And that would set her off, too, a little bit. She's like, it could be an emergency, and we could have to go to the hospital,
Right.
and he's not responding. But he bought her BMW, and from what she told me, it's not in his name. It's not in her name because she didn't have a driver's license.
Right.
I don't know if she had a permit or not, but she just told me she was scared to get a license. So she was basically driving with a permit just to get away.
I gotcha.
But she said his car was in a friend's name, and her car was in a friend's name. And she said that besides Ubering places before he bought her the car, he would try and get her to ride with one of his friends. She never stated the friend's name. She said she felt completely unsafe being in the car with the friend.
Right.
But whoever it was supposed to be who his car was in.
Okay.
You guys talked a lot.
Did she,
All day, every day.
was she talking about going on vacation anytime soon or anything like that, or taking the baby down to Disney World or anything like that, or anything in the past couple months?
From what she said, they always, he took them, that was another thing they did in New Jersey. I don't know if they did it in New Jersey or on the way back. That was another thing she told me, but I'm skipping it. Okay. They went shopping for the baby and bought her some clothes, and she sent me pictures of the clothes and the walker. But other than that, she said she wanted to do family activities.
Right.
But he was just so busy with the coffee, he couldn't do it, and she didn't want to do those things by herself. She actually wanted to interact as a family. And she had times where she was like, okay, I don't want to talk to him, and I want to be with him.
Right.
Then it was those times like, okay, well, I don't want to work. I don't want to watch my daughter grow up, so I'm just deal with it.
But before this February 1st, when you last talked to her, she wasn't planning on going on vacation that you're aware of, or
No, sir.
anything like that?
No, sir. And it seemed like right before she went missing, it was where she was getting more and more tired of him being gone all day long. And she was actually starting to get stressed out being at home with the baby all the time. And she wanted to get out and do something. And I mentioned, coming and get her, and me, her, and our daughters go somewhere to a water park, or just go to the park and sit down.
Right.
And she was like, I would, but I can't. And I was like, well, why not? And she kind of just avoided the question and went with So how is your little one doing?
Change the subject on it.
So I don't think she would leave her baby because she loves babies. She loves sending pictures of Evelyn, and I just wonder how the baby was getting fed because she said she was breastfeeding. And she said she would cook and he would come in and she would put her food down. He would eat her food. They would get into it about that.
Right.
And he would just eat and then leave.
Were you talking to her before the baby was born?
Mm-hmm. On here.
Okay. Was that planned, or how did that whole, the pregnancy and all that stuff, how did that kind of...
That part I have...
Or did she ever go into it, you know?
She went into telling me about when she had the baby. At first, she said she was staying with her grandmother, and he didn't want to be involved. I can't remember if we were speaking through here or if it was just on Facebook where I was seeing posts, but he would actually come see her. I think I was talking to her on there. He would actually come see her, and he would still then buy her stuff.
Right.
But he didn't want to be a part of the baby's life at all.
Gotcha.
And then once the baby, I think she said, hit 6 or 7 months, then he kind of stepped into it and wanted to play in the baby's life. But she said she didn't feel like he really did because he was never there.
Right.
And she mentioned that he went to jail for a week in December, and when he got dismissed, the baby, she called her little one, kind of just strayed away from him and wasn't as close to him anymore.
Right.
And he didn't like that. So I don't know after that if the baby got that close to him or what. But she said that the baby was more close to her because she was with the baby all day long. And
Right.
Evelyn really didn't care for her dad that much.
With the abuse that was going on, was it a constant throughout the relationship, or did it start kind of getting more and more? You know what I'm saying? More and more kind of build up, or?
She didn't tell me every time, but she mentioned that he would, I think it's on there too, he would switch. One minute he would be so nice and loving, and then the next minute he would just snap out of nowhere. So she thought he was bipolar. Because she said one minute he could be sitting there just talking to her and just loving and I want to be married and we're going to do this and that.
Right.
And then the next minute he was just up and he would start an argument and then he would hit her and she would pack and then she would still stay.
Okay, gotcha.
But I know the only places she went when she went out that she told me was to go see her friend. Said she stopped by her grandmother's house a few times, and other than that, she went to Publix or to pick up food from a restaurant and then back home.
On the birthday for the baby, did she ever talk about like having a birthday party? I mean, you know, most people, you know, when they turn one, they normally invite some of their close friends over because it's kind of, you know, fun thing to watch the baby, you know, get cake everywhere. Yeah, exactly. You know, I have an 11-year-old and I remember her, you know, getting hands in there and, you know, it goes everywhere but her mouth. And, you know, people kind of hang out. And did she ever talk about or like maybe plan a party and change, you know? Okay, so she knows.
And it was weird to me because, I mean, she was home throughout the whole time we talked. She was home every single day and nobody came over.
Really?
Nobody was there. He would go outside and talk on the phone. She would sit on the porch. He had some kind of little doggy. I think it was a Shih Tzu he had, and he had to get rid of the dog because she didn't want the dog around the baby, and she said she had to take care of the dog. But nobody from last year and even times before that when they stayed together, nobody ever came over.
Gotcha.
It was just her, and she did mention that she wanted to, I guess it was a beach house that was behind the house that they were at. She wanted to move out there.
Right.
But then she was scared to stay in the beach house by herself because he was never there.
Gotcha.
And I don't think her family wasn't allowed to come up. She did mention that he didn't like her family. She never got into, well, she did get into why, but it wasn't really detailed. It was just because he felt like they used her and they just wanted to use them.
Right.
And she also said she felt like she didn't want him to feel like her family just wanted to use him for money.
Right.
But they did give the grandmother money if she needed it. But they stopped doing that because of the sister being there, and
Right.
they didn't want to give the money to the grandmother, and she gave it to
Give
the
the
sister.
sister. Gotcha.
But I recently found out his name from the sister, and she sent me a picture of his mugshot to my phone. And she was the one that gave the Milton Search and Rescue guy my number, but she didn't tell me that she gave him my number.
Right.
And then when I asked her about it, she said she did it because her reason for doing it was Pensacola Police Department wasn't really helping her find her sister, so she gave it to him, and I was
Right.
like, well,
I got you.
I'm not talking.
Yeah, we're dealing with that.
That's the ring.
That's the ring.
That's the ring that he bought her. That was the one that she had right before she went missing.
Okay.
Let me see.
And the one before that was a smaller ring, and it was kind of like the same style. No, sir.
Wasn't that? Okay.
It was a real thin type ring, and it had, she has on some of her pictures. I'll activate my Facebook. And it's a pink diamond in the ring. That was the first one. And then the second one he bought was that one that you just showed me, the big ring.
Okay. Did she wore them all the time? I mean, she was always wearing them.
She always had them on because she used to send me pictures of it and pictures of her and Evelyn. The only time she took it off is when she was changing Evelyn, breastfeeding, or taking a bath.
I gotcha. Okay.
That's very strange. And I'm not sure, but I think a phone number, if it's not the same number that's in this phone, her old number that she had right before that is in one of those other phones that I had.
Okay.
And it's saved in the contact. It'll just say Cass on both.
Gotcha.
Is there a way, because there's a lot of messages on here, is there a way?
I can
that-
video what to celebrate.
Okay, yeah, that's probably a good idea, because there's so many, and she
Yeah.
says a lot of
Stuff.
stuff about about her and Henry's relationship.
Yeah. Here.
So,
If you want, can I borrow your phone real quick?
and
He's
he's
fine.
he's
I'm just
doing a
going to get
video.
somebody to kind of video it and scroll
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah.
That's
To do
fine.
it.
'Cause
Yeah.
I keep picturing myself in the situation. My baby just turned one.
Is there, in case if it locks up, is there a passcode or something like that?
Yes, sir.
Or is it one of the swipe ones?
Yes, sir. Okay, let's see.
Here you go. What's the pattern on it? Oops.
Uh-oh.
It's from this dot
Uh-huh.
to this dot,
Uh-huh.
that dot,
Uh-huh.
that dot.
Gotcha. Got it. Cool.
Here.
Well,
Here's
thank you
your
for doing that.
You're welcome.
My head was going crazy trying to look at all those
She
pictures.
texts me all day
She
long.
took- look at the thing. I thought it was going to be like a few.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, that's okay.
She texts me all day long.
She didn't sound like she needed somebody to talk to.
I don't know if it was because he didn't allow anybody to come by or nobody could talk to her. She did not talk to me by phone on those messages, nor either of the phones. She never called.
Mm-hmm.
She called one time and she did not leave a voicemail. She would text me all day long. And I noticed too, she would text me back to back when he wasn't there. When he got there, it would be 2-3 hours
Later, yeah.
and then she would respond, and it was kind of like she was trying to hide and text, or she would go in the bathroom and text. And it was just, she never sent pictures of him. She always talked about him. She never told me his name.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, she was kind of,
Yeah, she was calling him her man. in the text messages.
And baby daddy.
Yeah.
That's all she would call him. She would never address him by name. So I didn't know his name until recently when Karen sent me a picture and she was like, this is him. And I recognized what he looked like only because of the picture she posted online.
Right.
But to my phone, she never sent a picture since, it had to be 2015, 2014. She sent the picture and she was saying that he was 50-something and he didn't look like it. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know she did CNA work. She did mention how they met. She said they met at the strip club, and I assume he was talking to more than just her, and it just so happened that she was the one that ended up pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess from there, I don't know if he ever went back or she ever went back or what.
Back to dancing? Is that what you said? Back where?
She was a dancer. I know at one point, I guess they were in a rough patch, and she uploaded a video before she got pregnant of her at Babes, and she was dancing. Mm-hmm. Then other than that, she didn't post anything else. She was kind of at home, and she cut a lot of people off, she told me, because they were in club life. She wasn't, and I don't know if it was because she didn't want to go out or he kind of kept her in the house.
Mm-hmm. Did she ever say that anybody else or another man could possibly be the baby's daddy?
No.
Did she talk to you about another white guy that she used to see that, he was younger white guy? Did she ever talk to you about him? Younger than Henry, the guy she's with now.
No, but I did see on her Facebook page, I don't know if I can get into it or not because she blocked me.
It was a younger guy? They were in a car?
I knew about him. I think I saw it with Karen posted it in 2016. That's somebody that her child's father knows. I didn't know him, but she said that that's where I guess he placed her because she wasn't working. And I was trying to figure out who was paying for it because she said it was roommates. But she did not tell me his name. She was staying there with him and I guess 2 other guys in the house.
And who told you that, Karen? Or... I'm confused. I got lost. Karen told you that, or you knew that from
Cassandra. She told me that she was staying there, and I guess her child's father was paying for it because immediately after that, they went to another house, but I know the house was located in, I want to say, it was either Gulf Breeze or Navarre, and then he moved her to another house. And right before the address that's posted on the poster, she told me that between the time that they stayed at the house that I guess he's at now, it was like a green-looking house. Mm-hmm. She said between that time that they stayed there and went to the address that's on the poster, he took them to some little condo on the beach, and they stayed there in between time he rented it.
I wonder why she was staying over with roommates. So he put her up in a place?
Yes.
With roommates? Was she working at that time?
I don't think she was because around that time she posted a picture on Facebook and she had just received a white Camaro from him. So she had a car before the BMW that he got her. I don't know if he rented it or purchased it straight out. And
write that down so I don't forget it.
I never got to ask her what happened to the car. Now that I think about it, I never thought to say, hey, you know what happened to your white Camaro? And she showed a picture of her just like the BMW. She was all hugging it.
Yeah, I saw that picture.
On that one, she was just standing in front of it. And she was in like a little short bob wig, pink shirt, purple pants, and some black shoes. I think they were the little dress shoes. And she was just standing in front of it with the door open, and she was like, this is my new car. And I was just like, okay, I was showing her I need to be a CNA. And she was like, no, baby daddy bought it. And I was like, oh, okay, so.
Yeah, you don't need a baby daddy like that. Did you, okay, you said y'all never met face to face, you just talked, so you never got to see the baby or anything like that?
No, ma'am. It was planned out that I always tried to make it to where I could get from Mobile, but my boyfriend's car was running hot and I was always working. And then once I tried to come down here, it was supposed to be set up for me to come down here and get a bassinet from her before I had my
I saw
baby.
some pictures of bassinet.
And I never made it to get it. She said it was given to her by her sister and she couldn't use it. And instead of using that one, her baby daddy didn't want her using it, so he went and bought a brand new one for the baby.
Okay.
So that was weird to me too. And then I was trying to figure out when she left the house or whatever, how was the baby getting fed? And she's like, well, I breastfeed and I pre-pump and I put it up, and she was trying to convince me to breastfeed, and I was like, oh no. Once she told me what happened, I was like, no, I'm not doing it. So mine was
My kids are just fine. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna run to the bathroom. Are you good? If you need to go to the bathroom, there's one right there.
Yes,
I'm gonna run to the bathroom. There's coffee room right there. Do you need some water or anything?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll get you some water. Alrighty. I'll be right back. If you want a piece of paper, I'll leave this for you, and you can write if something comes to you, because that's what I have to do, because I
I was trying to think of something so I could take together. And he was like, well, just call me if you think anything
Yes.
else nice.
Here, if something comes to you, just write it down.
What else did she tell me? Where did he want to take her? I can't think of where he wanted to take her. Was it Guam? I think it was Guam. Oh, what else did Cassandra say? She said, "Go on, say this for his name. She didn't feel safe. He's going through court case. He got locked up for a week. He got out the back on the dash evermore. I think it was Guam. Where else did they go?
Here's that for you. Give me just a minute.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought of where it was. It was Guam.
Okay.
Wanted to take
Where you wanted to take her? Guam? Okay.
Did she ever say if she could go anywhere? Where she go? She told me it was a bathroom. Oh gosh, I got a tinkle.
Okay.
She lives in the bathroom. I was looking for the bathroom. She said,
Straight down where that door shut. And when you open it, the light will just come on automatically.
yes, sir.
I just remember a big call. In the office, when we walked in, there was a desk, there was like that little china cabinet thing. You know what I'm saying? But it was, we put it right back where it was. It was literally in that little, like I said, his office was here. He had the long drawer, dresser, you know, there was that small little, like file cabinet or whatever, in every wood on the right hand of the corner. It was just in that little yeah, that was, well, she did. It's something.
It's this one.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
And also, was it your mom that brought you up here?
My aunt.
Your aunt, she had to go. I told her I'd bring you back home. So when we're done, I'll give you a ride back.
Yes.
Did you come up with some more stuff?
Yes, ma'am. And from writing it down, I don't think she knew who she was in a relationship with.
You think?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we got here.
Because Detective Galloway mentioned when he came out that he had an address on Scenic Highway 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking her when she asked me to help them look for a house. I was sending her stuff that I found on Zillow and Trula. And she was saying that he didn't want to stay on Scenic because he said it was too far. But she wasn't aware that the house that they were staying in was his. And she thought that he was renting the house because the lights, I put it on here too, the lights were in a woman's name. She was sitting on the porch one day and had the little dog. And she let the dog out to play while they were sitting out there, and they came and turned the lights off and were asking for a lady's name. But she didn't tell, well, she did tell me the lady's name, I think. And it's on one of those phones where she told me the lady's name, and she was like, well, I called him and asked him, and he said it was a friend who he got the lights turned on in. But then when it was time for them to move, it was a man that owned it.
That owned the house?
That's what he told her. It was a man that owned it, and he was renting from the guy, and the guy wanted his house back. He was moving back home. So they had to move again. And that's when he rented a place on the beach. She told me it was at a resort. And then she said from that is when they went to downtown, 15 minutes away from the job, $2,300 a month. And she said it was fully furnished. And there should be pictures. Well, no, I don't think there's pictures of that place. I asked her to see a place. He was trying to move her to Perdido. She wanted to go to Perdido. He wanted to stay here. But he wanted to pick a place that didn't have too much carpet, mainly tile, carpet, and maybe one or two rooms.
And why is that?
She said he told her it was because of allergies. And he told her that's the same reason why he could only have that one specific dog, because of allergies.
Gotcha.
I don't think she knew who she was talking to.
What, how'd she feel about that dog?
She hated it. She hated it. She would lock it in the room. Well, no, she wouldn't lock it. She wanted to lock it in the room. Sometimes he would lock it in the room, and it would just scratch, and she would let it out. She said she constantly had to clean up after it. every time they went somewhere, he wanted to put the dog in the car, and she said the dog to her stunk because he didn't bathe it, and she hated it.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted him to get rid of it. So the dog was supposed to be staying with a friend now.
Mm-hmm. Do you know which friend?
I think it's the one that whoever's car, the white car that he has, whoever's name it's in, is supposed to be the friend.
Was it a man or a woman?
A man.
A man. Okay. And so they were keeping the dog.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
You said Guam is where he wanted her to go? Guam.
I thought of it. That's where he told her he wanted to take her because he said it was, well, from what she told me, he told her it was not too many natural disasters or anything, and he wanted to take her there. She said that she really didn't want to go, but that was as far as she went with it.
Mm-hmm.
And she also said that she had found out that he had been, I didn't know it was possible, but she said he had been traveling and driving for years without a license. She would say his license was suspended and expired, but he was still able to take flights and he was still driving them around.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you can still drive on suspended license, but if you get caught, you're going to be in trouble. Yeah.
What else
Did she have a license?
No, ma'am.
No. But she still drove that car?
She still drove whenever she got out, and I was like, well, you shouldn't do that. And she was like, well, I'm just trying to get away to clear my mind. And she was only really allowed 30 minutes from what she told me to take a bath. He gave her 30 minutes to take a bath each day, and that's when she got her break. Other than the 2 hours, she was allowed to go out on Saturdays. And then once she got back in, it was her, the baby, and he was gone. But right before all this happened is when he put the lock code back on his phone a little bit before this happened, and he would start taking phone calls. She said it would be where she couldn't hear anything. It started out on the porch, and then it gradually increased to him going to where she would have to walk to hear what he was saying if she wanted to.
So he's being kind of secretive.
Yes, ma'am.
How did he tell me about, like, did he give her money or did he give her a debit card? How did she?
She got money through PayPal from what she told me, because she asked me one time if possible, in case of an emergency, if I could send her $300. And then she got kind of scared, I guess, because she said that he sent her money through PayPal, which I didn't understand because they're in the same house. But she said he told her that was in case she wanted to order something offline and he wasn't there. So everything was through PayPal. She never had cash in hand.
Gotcha. Why would she want $300? Did she say?
She said in case of an emergency and anything happened again as far as him hitting her, she didn't want to go back to her grandmother's house, and she wanted enough to get a cab, because she said if she got in the car, he probably would call the police and say it was stolen, and then she would go to jail and lose Evelyn. So she wanted to be able to get a hotel or something to stay in, as well as get a cab to get her away.
Gotcha. And all of that was in text, right?
Yes, ma'am.
On either the other two phones or your phone, the one you have now?
Yes, ma'am.
Or through the text app?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the text app...
Oh, the phone I have now, we never got to talk on that one.
Okay.
I just got that one recently.
But what we're looking at is Facebook Messenger.
Yes, ma'am.
On the text app, will it come up on those other phones? Gallo was telling me something about you forgot the password or...
No,
something.
I let it go 3 months because once I got my phone turned on, I just stopped using the Text Now app. And after so long, it shuts out the thing. I don't know if it would be possible. I asked him if he thought it was possible to try and get whoever owns it to print it out, if it was possible, but it won't show up because it sends your number to somebody else.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Do you remember the number? Did we get that? The text app number?
The 542-883.
All right. Is there anything else we need for that? Did you have to input an email address or anything?
It was through my email address.
You got the email?
It's KEYONA.
What was it? I'm sorry. KEYONAISLOVE@gmail.com.
sure we have all that.
And I think the 7603, I'm not sure if you have to, because I haven't used the app in a while. I'm not sure if you have to enter an actual phone number. I think I did have to enter the 7603 just to get a temporary number to be able to text.
Okay.
And right before everything happened, I think she was in like a pregnancy scare.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she was waiting on that time of the month and it hadn't came, so she was scared. But she hadn't told me.
So she was scared she might be pregnant again? She wasn't taking birth control or anything?
She said she was looking into getting the one that goes in your arm, but she wasn't sure, and I don't think she could if she wanted to, because her hair was damaged, and instead of letting her go to a barber shop, he would cut her hair.
Really?
He would not let her go anywhere, and his excuse was, why go somewhere and pay money when I can cut it? So it was kind of like, if he wanted like the rings and the baby's clothes and stuff, if it was something that he wanted to buy, it was not a problem. But if she asked for something, she said he would just kind of snap, and she was scared to ask for anything.
Did he even get a haircut? How was he cutting her hair? Was it real short?
Her hair underneath everything, like the pictures, those are wigs and weaves. On a video that's on what's on the phone, it's down in the messenger. There's a video that's her hair. It was like this short.
Yeah. When they get finished, I want you to show it to me. Wow.
He's like, it would grow, and then I don't know if it was. To me, she was easy to. That's what I forgot. She was easy to manipulate and control, because all he had to do was tell her a certain thing, and she would go with it. Like, she was fine with eating meat all these years, and he was like, hey, you need to go vegan. You're getting fat. And then all of a sudden, she was just vegan. The only thing she ate was ribs. And then she stopped eating ribs, and then she started back eating meat. So it was kind of like he would nitpick at her about certain things, and she would feel down about herself. So I think she was very insecure before everything happened. And she stayed playing in makeup and sending me pictures of her with the makeup on and asking me if it looked right. So I don't think she knew who she was talking to.
Yeah. Wow. She didn't look fat to me in anything I've seen her in.
That's so sad.
Let me look at your notes here.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. We talked on Snapchat. On her Snapchat. I'm not sure, but I can log into it once the phone comes back and see if they'll show up any messages between me and her. Because she would write me on Snapchat, Facebook, and text me at the same time.
Okay. I thought Snapchat was one of them that went away.
You can hold down on the message and it'll save it.
Oh, okay. So maybe you saved some of them?
Yes. Okay. I tried to save every last one because a lot of them were back and forth, and I always felt like something wasn't right because she was scared and I didn't understand why, but I never thought that if I called and said something, like I asked her one time, did she want me to call the police? And she was like, no, I don't want you to, because if they come and they leave, then what?
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, I just saved them just in case, along with all the messages.
That was good. She was upset because she had found out he had been driving and traveling with a suspended license. Okay, so she got mad at him about his suspended license.
They got into a big argument about that in New Jersey. And that's when they came back, and she was packing her stuff that day, and she didn't talk to me for like 3 days after that, which is why I thought nothing was wrong, because he had took her phone and broke her phone. And she had broke his phone before, because she found messages of him telling an ex to meet him downtown at a coffee shop for coffee. And the income, I remember he asked me, did did she say where it came from? She said it came from overseas, that the coffee company that he was working on opening here was very successful overseas. But she never gave me a name, and anytime I asked for a name, they didn't have one.
Right.
So I don't know how you open a coffee business overseas with no name.
Right. So that's where you kind of believed, or where she led you to believe that he had some sort of coffee business in another country, and that's how he got money.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
But on the back of it, I mentioned where she told me, she went into some detail about his case that was going on that landed him with probation. She said that he was, another friend did something, and he was framed, the friend framed him for it, and he's supposed to be working with police and helping to catch the friend. And something about the police, he told her the police kind of screwed him over, and they still went back on their plea deal. And that's how he ended up having to be in the case that he was in and fight it off and take another plea deal of a year. And she believed it, and that's what she told me. It's not sound right.
See. That's right, that was with
So I
that.
asked a lot of questions about his case, but she wouldn't go into detail because it just seemed awkward that
Yeah. And
Right.
weird. Yeah. Never met.
Did she ever say if he threatened to really harm her, or kill her, or anything like that, or take the baby and run, or anything? I mean, did she ever say anything like that to you?
No.
Or did she ever say that she thought he would get so mad that something like that would happen?
She used to say she was scared. She was very scared, and the only reason why she felt safe there was because of the officer that patrolled. She was scared to be there. She was kind of happy at times that he wasn't there, but she was kind of depressed and sad because nobody could come by. And
So the officer being, that wasn't more like someone breaking the house crime. That was more protection for her type deal. Like he would kind of be on his best behavior. You know what I'm saying? If there was an officer there, as opposed to if they were just at a house somewhere without it.
that's what it was. She
Okay.
said if anything was to happen, she could just run outside.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
You said that he would make her have intercourse. Tell me about that.
That's how she said she ended up where she thought she was pregnant. She said the baby would be laying there, and she wouldn't want to do anything. At certain times, he would come in, and he actually had handcuffs and stuff where he would actually handcuff her down and make her have intercourse.
Really? And she didn't like that?
Because she said she felt very uncomfortable, and that's why she was looking for the birth control. But she had to find somewhere that she could go to quickly. Also, I think he didn't want the baby to be vaccinated, so they had to go through a whole process of finding a pediatrician that would accept the baby without her having to be vaccinated. Because he felt like it was germs. And to me, it was just another excuse for her not to go anywhere. Because I don't even know if she was taking her to the pediatrician. Because she was at home all the time. I think as far as she went, besides the few stores that she said she would go to, was on the porch, and that was it. And she stopped having access to his phone. He would check her phone, and I guess she would hide my messages or whatever she used to do. Because he would check her phone, but she couldn't check his.
Right. She may have deleted them like right after y'all talked or something. I don't know. I don't know how Facebook Messenger works. If you can delete them or not.
You can.
You
I think you can archive them and then delete.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept everything from her because I just felt it wasn't right. And I had been in the situation before, and I was so scared for her. But every time she asked me I asked her if she wanted me to call police or report it or whatever from where I was at, she said no. So I left it alone.
Right, of course.
Then I didn't know how that would work because I got down here on February 14th, and I was actually going to contact her and try and talk to her then, but I just didn't because I didn't know if she had the phone, if he had the phone, if he had took it or what. So I never tried to call her. If she didn't call me, I didn't call. And she called at one time, and that was it.
So after she was texting you on the 1st, did you continue to try to get in touch with her after that?
No, ma'am. Once he told me, once she texted me and told me that he was coming there, and she didn't say anything after that, I figured maybe he came home and broke the phone, and she wouldn't have it. I think my last message was, "Are you okay?" And I didn't get a response.
Did that scare you?
It did, and I thought about calling, and I was like, well, no, if I do, then I don't want her to get mad at me.
Right.
Then it leads to something else. If she's still okay, then she never talks to me again, and then she has nobody to talk to.
Sure. What time and I know you probably told it already, but I don't know. What time was that last message that she sent you?
It was between 2 and 3 February 2nd. So anything that could have happened probably happened on the 2nd, early in the morning, because it was either 2 or 3. It was
in the morning?
Yes, ma'am. On February 2nd. It was early in the morning because he was supposed to be coming home from his coffee business and working all night.
Right. And the birthday. They're supposed to have a
He
birthday.
missed the whole birthday. He was not there. I wasn't aware of her having a party until whoever this Milton search and rescue guy was told me, Cassandra went missing after her daughter's first birthday, and I was talking to her that day, and she said nothing about a party. She was at home, from what she told me the whole time, getting ready to cut the baby's cake, and it was just her.
What time was it that she said that she was going to cut the cake?
It was, I'm going to say 11. It was like 11:45 when she said she was taking it out. And
at night or?
At night.
Okay.
When she said she was getting ready to just go ahead and cut the cake.
And that was on the 1st, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And he didn't text her back until, so it had to be between 2 and 3. He didn't text her back until 2 o'clock in the morning. It was like 2:23-ish when he texted her back and told her he would be there in 20 minutes. And that was it. She didn't say if they argued or anything. She just said he'll be here in 20 minutes, and he's missed the whole birthday. And that was her very last message to me, is that he was coming in 20 minutes.
At 2 or 3 in the morning?
Yes, ma'am. Well, that message was around, it had to be around 2. It wasn't close to 3. It was early 2 o'clock in the morning when he said he was on his way home from the coffee business. So supposedly whatever coffee business he worked at, he had people working for him, and they worked from 6 in the morning until the next morning.
Right. Or that's what he told her.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe that was her texting you? Did y'all have like a solid chat where y'all continued to chat from all night long? So you believe that that was her chatting with you up until that last chat, he's on his way home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because, like if I would take Jeff's phone, I'm not going to text like Jeff, because I may use different slang than he. Right. So you believed it was the same, it was her texting?
Yes, ma'am. She would text me every morning, or I would text her, and then the rest of the day we would just talk until he got there, or she would fall asleep. And a lot of times when he got home, it would be back to back. She would text me within 15 minutes if he wasn't there. Then once he got there, it would kind of be an hour, sometimes 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
And then she would respond. I don't know if she was hiding her phone and texting, or she would put it on silent and not know. But she kind of spaced it out whenever he got there.
Sure.
Did she ever, because I know she asked for, for the $300 for the emergency money, did she ever be like, hey, if something ever happens to me, or I got a diary or anything like that? Did she ever keep anything like that, or that you can think of, or talk about me,
She had a laptop As far as I know, that she used to write in, from what she told me.
Did she tell you what type of laptop it was, or a brand or anything like, hey, I got a new, whatever, HP
I think it
Dell?
was it has a case on it. It's a black laptop, and it's either a pink or purple case that she had that went on it. But I know for sure it was a black laptop. I think it was a Dell, because he bought it for her years ago, but she kept it, and she was supposed to be writing a book, she said, but she also wrote personal stuff from what she said in there.
Okay.
And it was stuff that I guess she didn't want to send me because she didn't know if he could go and get printouts of her messages or whatever, but she
Gotcha.
just kept it in her little Dell laptop.
Mm-hmm.
So all their trips and everything that happened,
Right.
anything that they did was written in the laptop and saved.
Mm-hmm. What was her book going to be about? A memoir about herself, or a story about something else?
It was kind of, from what she told me, like a romance story, because she was into what was it? Everybody was supposed to go for her birthday to go see, what's the movie? Because I never saw it. 50 Shades of Grey, I think.
She liked that.
She liked those movies, and I had never seen them. She liked Twilight, and she was like, well, girl, you got to catch up on them, because my book is going to be similar to it, and everybody was supposed to meet for her birthday and go see it. And I don't think he liked it too much.
Might not have. So that didn't happen? No.
I think her birthday was, I think it was on the 14th that everybody was supposed to go and see the movie. She said it was her, and she invited me and said it was a few of her friends, and if I could make it down here to go, she would love it. And it never happened. But I don't know if she had told him, if they had planned it, or if she just planned it herself and was just going up and go and tell him, hey, I need you to watch the baby. But it seemed weird because the movie is some hours long, and she was only allowed 2 hours on Saturday.
And what was she supposed to do in those 2 hours on Saturday?
She said she would go and visit a friend. She would go to the store, but majority of the time it wasn't 2 hours that she was gone. It was she would go to the store and get something and come back home. And from what Karen told me, it was because Karen said she came down there to see her one day, and within 5 minutes of her arriving, he called her and was like, hey, where you at? Why you're taking so long? And she said she really couldn't go anywhere.
Because he was calling and wanting her to
And she texted me all day, every day from Wi-Fi, so I don't think she was gone that long. It probably was 30 minutes or an hour. She would go get something to eat, come back, and she had to eat, sleep, everything except for 30 minutes of bathing with Evelyn.
How would you know that it was coming from Wi-Fi? Would it show up as her email address?
She told me.
She told you, okay.
She told me that she was using Wi-Fi because he didn't want to pay her phone bill. And then when she got the new phone, that's when she texted me from, I think it's that number that's saved in that phone, unless it's in one of the other phones. This one phone has 2 contact numbers for her, and she texted me from the second one. I was like, hey, you can delete the old number. This is my new number. And after, I guess, 30 days of it, she still had the same number. So I guess she was using, I have Androids on the iPhones where I don't know if she was able to text me from Wi-Fi and still keep the same number, or if she had to download an app and use her number for the texting. But it was always the same number.
She might wanted to just do the texting app so that he couldn't see or couldn't figure out what she was doing.
Yeah, because on those, I know you can put, on text now, you can put a passcode to get into the conversations. And from what she said, he didn't have an app, but she did mention she broke his phone before, and all he did was go and buy a new one. But he had a lot of contacts that he kept in contact with, and a lot of exes. But she never got mad and left.
Just mad enough to break his phone. Do you know who he was talking to?
No, ma'am.
No, she didn't tell you?
She just said it was women that would fly in from out of town. And the one specific ex that she broke the phone about was a lady that was married. and she had kids, and she came down here, and they were supposed to meet for coffee, and she was like, she would have been that type of person. If she wasn't scared, she would have contacted the lady, but she was scared because her picture would show up, and then she didn't want me to contact the lady because my picture would show up.
Right.
And then it would lead back to her, and she didn't know what would happen
Right.
if it got back to him.
Sure. So that was, she never contacted any of these exes?
No.
Somebody, I don't have access to her Facebook, but somebody said that she had made a Facebook post, and it was
They hate me.
something like that, about something. What was that about?
She spoke about people that she used to work with that were at the strip club that she worked,
Mm-hmm.
and people that she were friends with. And she said once she stopped being friends with them, they would talk about her and make little comments, like your nose is big, or
Mm-hmm.
you got a skinny body and big boobs and stuff. And she said it just felt childish to her, and she felt that they were stupid for it.
Mm-hmm.
So on that part, she was more confident. But him and her had kind of like a racist relationship, because when they used to get into it, I know that they would have like racial slurs that they would throw at each other. And I don't know if it ever escalated when they got to that point, because the only thing she would tell me later on was that he slapped me. And each and every time it was he slapped me or he hit me. And when she would say hit, she wouldn't say how he hit her.
Mm-hmm.
She said how they met.
At the strip club. She said that he was there and he was supposedly talking to other strippers at the time. And I guess she just so happened to be the one that fell pregnant.
Gotcha.
And then from there, they continued doing whatever they were doing. But I don't think she fully knew who she was talking to, because
Right.
she never met his family. She only knew what he told
When
her.
you told her. Gotcha.
So they had been together for years, but she didn't find out about the suspended license until New Jersey,
Right.
when an officer up there said something about it.
Gotcha.
Did she say where his family lived?
In Tampa or Orlando, Florida, and he always wanted her to move close to his family.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she would, but she didn't feel safe enough without having a way to get back. She was scared that if she went, he would
She
kind
was
of
stuck. Yeah.
abandon her.
Orlando's not that far. I wonder why they didn't come visit. I mean, they got a grandbaby. Or a...
That's what I was just about to ask. Yeah, like when the baby was born, did they ever come up, or she ever?
She said she never got to meet his family. They never came up. The part I didn't understand is that he said, at one point, she told me that he said he was from Germany, so I don't think she really paid attention in detail. He said he was from Germany and his family was in Germany. And then a couple months later is when he said his family was in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was either Tampa or Orlando.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere down there.
And she never paid attention to, okay, they moved from Germany
Right.
to Tampa or Orlando,
Mm-hmm.
but you never know visit and they never can see you.
Right.
And the house that they were staying in was, according to him and her, it was being rented. Every place they stayed in was somebody else's.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they, I don't know if she ever stayed on Scenic, but if she did, to her it would have been rented.
Mm-hmm.
And lights and water and everything was in somebody else's name. So I don't know if it really was in somebody else's name or he just said that. But I know where they were staying at, whoever the lady was that the guy told her about, because when the guy came up to turn the lights off, he told her it was in some lady's name. And she asked him who the lady was, and he was like, oh, it's a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So that was weird. And she said he had never been married, and it was supposed to be his first kid. And that's why they stayed into it, and she wanted him to interact with the baby a whole lot.
And he didn't?
But I guess now he is. But then he was gone literally all day, because she would text me all day, and he was never at home.
Mm-hmm.
He would come in, eat, leave.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. Other than that, he would be outside, and I knew about the gradually increasing his distance to talk on the phone, because she would tell me, she was like, at first, he's standing on the porch. And then she was like, okay, I don't know where he went. And then she would go outside, and he would be all in the street talking on the phone. And then he would come back, and she would be like, who is that? And it would cause a whole big argument. Because he would tell her, mind your business, privacy, and she just left it alone.
Did she ever, when she was on the porch, did she ever say she interacted with any of the neighbors or talked to them or anything like that? Or just hey.
She said she never talked to anybody. She did tell me one time when she was sitting outside on the porch, she saw her neighbors arguing. And that was about it. She said she just sat there and watched, but she didn't conversate with anybody. Nobody ever came over. And when they went somewhere, I guess the guy that picked them up, that was the friend, I guess he drove up and they came outside and got in the car. And then that was a few months after that, and she told me that she was scared to get in the car with the guy alone, is when he bought the BMW. And she started being able to take herself places. But she couldn't drive the car that much.
Okay, so they had a driver?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did this driver drive?
She did not tell me. I remember at one point it was a white truck. It was a white F-150 four-door that he drove. And then after that, she never told me again what he drove. But they would come pick them up. It was a guy that would come pick them up and take them wherever they had to go and bring them back. Or they would Uber or Lyft. But they didn't start Ubering or Lyfting until this guy said, I can't come pick you up as much. And it was a close friend of his. And she didn't feel comfortable being around the friend. So he had a person that was specifically to drive her and Evelyn places, and her and him and Evelyn places.
So he told her, hey, if you need to go anywhere, this guy's going to take you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember his name?
She never told me.
Did she ever go off with him to the store or wherever she needed to go, did she say?
She went one time with him. They went to Publix. She had him take her to Publix to pick up some ribs, and she went grocery shopping. And I think that was before she started using whatever the little, they bring it to your house is called. And that's when she told me she felt very uncomfortable being in the car, and she didn't feel comfortable being around the guy, and she didn't feel right with her daughter being around him. And that's when all of a sudden she popped up with the BMW. And he told her she could use it, but she really couldn't, because he drove it more than she did. Anytime she wanted to go somewhere, he drove her. She didn't drive herself. It was very rare that she got to drive herself.
It's all kind of odd. I kind of wish I had a driver, though. I really do. I'm not even going to lie. Wish I had a driver. Wish I could call somebody and say, hey, I'm ready for you to pick me up. Come get me. And you can drive my car. Just come get me. So, yeah, I ain't even going to lie about that. I know you said a bunch of stuff, and we've got a lot of notes. The phones, are they at your house? The other phones?
They are at the address down here. I've been here since February trying to find a job and a place to stay. So I have not been back to Mobile except for once. And that was, I went when I first got down here to pay my rent. And other than that, I went back this past weekend to go get my boyfriend's truck and bring it down here. And then once I find a place, we'll go back and get our stuff.
But the phones are in Pensacola?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So when he takes you home, you can give him the phones?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Yeah, because we really, I mean, you've been very helpful for us.
She told me I was the one that she talked to the most out of everybody. I don't know.
It seems
how,
like it.
Yeah. I didn't work.
Right.
He worked, and my boyfriend worked, so I just was sitting at home, and she...
Well, y'all had babies in common, relationships in common, you're the
Friendships
same
from them,
age,
so.
and that's kind of friends I talk to. I mean, I talk to these young people, I got nothing in common with them. But seriously, y'all had a lot in common. I mean, y'all could talk about it. I mean, I saw it. You know, y'all talked about your relationships and pregnancy and babies and, you know, things y'all were going through. And you seemed, you really gave her, the little bit I read, a lot of good relationship advice. I mean, you were trying to help her, and it was obvious, you know, because you would be like, well, talk to him. I mean, you was really, you know, I mean, you should probably be a counselor, because she said some really good stuff.
That's what it was too. She felt uncomfortable telling him anything.
Mm-hmm.
If she felt a certain way, or she thought he was acting a certain way, or she wanted to progress the relationship,
Right.
she felt very uncomfortable speaking to him.
Right.
Right.
She couldn't tell him about her feelings or things like that.
And she said that he would always tell her she needed to open up and trust him, and she said she was scared to because she didn't know. Well, from her words, she didn't exactly say she didn't know who she was dealing with, but she didn't know what to expect because he was two different people in one.
I can believe that.
But at one point, she told me his name was Charles.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know his name was Henry until the mug shot. So I don't know if that's his middle name or if she really didn't know his name.
She might not have known his name. I thought his name was Charles. Mm-hmm.
She never said Henry. She did address him the one time she did. She called him Charles when I asked his name. And the last name didn't match. I can't remember the last name, but it was some really foreign, strange name. I don't know if he made it up or what, but I don't think she knew exactly who he was because she never looked through his stuff. And when she had access to the phone, she said that certain stuff would be locked. Like the only thing she could access was the home screen and navigation. Everything else had a code on it.
Did she ever say when she was, when he would be gone for, these X amount of times and all that stuff, did she ever look through the house and be like, holy crap, I found whatever, whether it be guns, money, dope, anything, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of look around and come across, did she ever talk about anything?
From what she said, she didn't because all his stuff, from what he told her, was with his family. And when they moved down there with his family, then he would get his stuff. But everything that they stayed in was rented.
Right.
So it was certain stuff that he would tell her not to do or not to touch. And the part I didn't understand is if it's rented and it's in somebody else's name, why would you not have... She didn't have TV or anything. She was just there with the phone and her laptop all day.
Did he say where he was putting his stuff? Because people just, just over time. I mean, we're adults, and okay, where's all the TVs? If it's furnished, that's cool, but where's the stuff that you had before the furnishing? You know what I'm saying? Did she ever say like, oh yeah,
just your stuff?
where's your even if
I didn't have TVs and stuff, I have stuff.
Right.
From childhood to now, and it's a lot. Me and him are the same age, and I got a lot of stuff.
Right.
And it was in Tampa, Orlando, with his family. Everything else, because she mentioned to me when the storm was coming, they were supposed to leave and go to, I think, Navarre or Panama. And he took his boats. He had boats and everything, and he took them to a friend's house. I don't know what happened to the boats after he took them to his friend's house, but his friend was the one that was keeping everything.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And he mentioned that he always wanted to, well, she said that he always used to want to take her out on the boat. And he would want to find a nanny to come in and help while he took her out on the boat for the day. And she didn't feel comfortable moving out on the boat. And his excuse for moving the boats was because the storm was coming and he didn't want anything to happen to the boats. And this was a little bit before all this happened.
Right.
And his boats are at a friend's house, which is the same friend that drove them around. And whoever the guy is, the white car that he has is supposed to be in that guy's name.
Gotcha.
And her car is in a completely different friend's name.
Did she ever talk what type of boats there were or anything like that? Or
No, sir. She did mention it was 3 And as far as I could tell, they were, she didn't tell me the brand, but they were white, red, and silver. And she said it was 3 different boats, and he never went fishing. She said he used to sail, and he hadn't done that in a while. And he did balloons, where he would get in the hot air balloons. And other than that, he hadn't did any of that in a while, but he kept trying to take her out on the boat for the day and find a nanny. And I even told her, I was like, to me, that's kind of strange, because if you want to do something as family, like, why can't all 3 of you go out on the boat and just have snacks?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know if she thought it was
She got
weird.
weirded out about it.
Right.
She thought it was kind of romantic. I thought it was weird because he doesn't want to take you to restaurants or anything else. He'll
Right.
take you out on a boat
Not out in public, but right. I got you.
somewhere completely private and
Right.
around water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
Red flag.
right.
So he wouldn't take her out to restaurants and stuff?
Only time they went somewhere is when they went out of town, and she would not tell me what it was for. I guess from what he told her, it was supposed to be to brand his business and for business meetings. But it was weird because she would be at the hotel and he would be gone, and then when he would come back, then they would go get something to eat and come back. But she didn't wear wigs by choice. He made her put wigs on. And he made her put makeup on. So he would tell her, you're looking rough today or whatever, fix yourself up. And she felt offended by it.
Yeah. Did he ever bring home any other women? Did she ever talk about any weird sex that he wanted, or anything, fetishes or anything like that?
She did say about fetishes that he had this big thing of, he kind of torture type stuff. He had this big thing of whips and all kinds of stuff, and that's why he would tie her up. And that's when he would force her, so she did say she had bruises and stuff from that. And it was very uncomfortable, but the baby would be literally right in the bed with them, and he didn't care.
Gotcha.
Did she ever say anything kind of along the sex topic and everything about him wanting to bring somebody else in or anything like that, either a guy or a female or anything, or watch her have sex with a guy or anything like that? Did she ever talk about that?
I think they probably did have conversations like that, because I don't know about him, but I know she wasn't straight. She was bisexual.
Gotcha.
So it was more of I think they did once when she went to the strip club again and danced. They probably did bring somebody back with them, because she mentioned that they were adventurous then, and then I guess she got tired of it, and that's when she decided that she wanted to try and settle down, and she wanted her.
So that was early on, and they're not like February or anything like early on. Okay.
I think when they moved to the house that they were at, it got to the point that nobody could come over. I
Gotcha.
don't think he brought anybody in.
Gotcha.
So I don't even think anybody knew, besides her going outside. I don't think anybody even knew that she was
lived
there.
Right.
He probably didn't even want her to go outside.
She used to sneak outside from what she told me she would.
Gotta have some fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah. For goodness sake. Get that baby outside.
And he wouldn't take the baby outside either. She would take the baby out during the daytime. And she said other than that, once he got home, they slept in separate rooms. So he would come into her room. So I don't understand how, I guess certain places they stayed, they would be in the same bed. And then she had her own room and her own bathroom, and he had his own room. But he used to come in sometimes 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and he would come into her room, which I thought that was awkward too.
Right.
Because he told her he wanted to work towards marriage, but you're in separate rooms.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's odd. I can't think of anything else.
I can't either. Can you give us just another minute? We'll probably be done. I'll get you back home. You use the restroom again or anything? So you, yeah.
Let's see if we can get it. Ow.
Are the Snapchat messages on your phone? Yeah. Or is that on the other phones?
It was on the white phone.
Okay.
I think everything was on the white phone. The black phone that I had,
Right.
I don't think I got a chance to talk to her on the LG X Power.
Right.
Because when I got the phone was off, and I had Wi-Fi, so I think I used the LG Tribute HD, the white phone.
Okay.
And that's where the Snapchat, the text now, and it should still be text messages on there.
Okay. And is Miss Sharon, is that your aunt? She's back, so I'll just follow you onto the house just so I can get all that stuff. You can just ride with her. You ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. Oh, real quick,
Oh,
can I get you to raise your right hand for me?
yes,
Do you swear that the statement that you talked to me and Detective Alverson is true?
yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
And she thought that he was, I think on the mugshot, I don't know how old he is now, but the mugshot they sent me, he was 52. She thought he was 56.
Okay,
55,
so older than what he was. Okay.
That's not it. It was, where'd she go? Because I don't know if y'all have seen pictures.
Yeah, we actually took, I had one of our officers take pictures of all of them, so we're going to go through them all and everything.
There was a video of her with her daughter without the wig.
Without the wig? Okay.
That was her. That's her.
Hey, are there any pictures of them two together? Of her and baby daddy?
On Facebook, there are.
That's it. Okay, but none that she sent you. Gotcha.